Hello and welcome to a new episode here on the Wars Rebellion Explorers for once again. And after a few videos of the different houses in Pompeii that I showed you from my visit last year at this stage, I thought I'm gonna go back and do a little exploring of the historical material beyond just giving you a show of the houses. And what I want to do today, as start of a three-part series, is to kind of look at sort of in general the history of the excavations on Pompeii and think about how the style of excavating, the style of archaeology has changed over the centuries, really. So let's look at a little PowerPoint that I prepared, a couple images, maps, to kind of get a sense of how the changes have occurred and how Pompeii has become a tourist attraction in many ways. So Pompeii is a beautiful location, nestled on the sea, next to the mountains, of course, Vesuvius being a rather awkward neighbor there. But again, it's a beautiful sight. And as a tourist, you're immediately awestruck by the sheer amount of excavated construction buildings. And as you can see here, though, there are some buildings in better shapes than others. Some are reconstructed, some with roofs on them, and some just plain walls standing there. And there's a science is a madness, I suppose we can say there. I'm not sure if that's the perfect word, but I think that would be fitting. So when we think of the excavations in Pompeii, really there are early rumblings after sort of sea eruptions in 79's Common Era, but really when we think of like early excavations, it doesn't start until the 1750s. And in this case, a lot of this is designed to kind of excavate a building, find something very cute, pretty, like a mosaic or a drawing on a wall or a close to complete artifact, and put that into a museum or a royal palace. We really get to see sort of more of a scientific, quote unquote, approach to the excavations of Pompeii, starting in the mid 19th century with Giuseppe Fiorelli, pictured here actually. And he runs the Pompeii site there for those 30 years. And he is responsible for a significant amount of excavation. Another major push for excavation comes during the Amadeo Maniuri period, when he's looking into the south, what was this be here? Southwest, southeast quadrant of Pompeii, sort of the area between the theaters and the Colosseum in Pompeii. That's a major part that he excavates. So today, about 66% of Pompeii are exposed. That has some problems associated with it. And these days, most of the budget that Pompeii has does not go towards new excavations. Those are actually rare these days. It's probably likely that 30% of Pompeii will never be exposed to the public, or in any form. Uh, Most of what we have to do today is preservation and conservation of what has been exposed, the 66%, because of the environmental factors associated. So what's madness behind all of this, right? So in many ways, what was initially considered here is sort of let's have this frozen moment in time, as it was called, to uncover as much of Pompeii as possible to kind of showcase what a Roman city was like. Even Maori really kind of was in the mind frame of like, let's expose, expose, expose. Once we have everything exposed, we can start preservation work. But really, the goal behind it was the thought that if the ruins remain underground, there would be more decay. It would be more damaged. Today, we think in the opposite way. The more we expose, the more we damage, the more we destroy. But that has illustrates the changes of thinking in many ways. But as you see, too, there's sort of the the assumption that, ooh, let's excavate because it will enhance the prestige of us as a kingdom. And we really nicely see that sort of in the process of the excavations. One of the earliest maps I located on hmm, Pompeian pictures was from 1810. So we see the amphitheaters there, the Colosseum already exposed. The theaters have been exposed at this stage. We also see some work with regard to the Forum, and then the very northwest quadrant has some work done. And from there, they're starting to expand now. In the next 10 years, they're moving further south in the northwest quadrant. They're doing more work between the between the Forum and the theaters. So there's a lot additional work. Really, the Forum becomes the center of a lot of these excavations as they kind of lay everything bare. Some of the videos that I have shown you are with regard to the building here on the lower part center, that the House of the Enslavers. I didn't go to the upper part of the forum actually, even though the picture would be tilted north is on your right in this case. Again, 5 years forward, more, but not a heck of a lot of more excavation, but really in the next 30 years. And this is, for a reality period now, a massive amount of excavation, right? Like they're going along the roads, they're exposing the houses, they're wanting to see as much as they can in the process here. They're connecting that tiny little area that they had exposed there on the edge of the city, and they just keep filling in. And it's in the region one, two, and then also, yeah, two and one and two really that Maori will be doing most of his excavation work, some of it to the north of it, but yeah, really as I said, the area between the theater and the amphitheater, the Colosseum, is where most of the work being done. Region three is relatively untouched. Just speaking of relative, right? So this is sort of a massive amount of excavation. What we have to think here about too is that this is all 19th century excavations. These are not professional archaeologists as we would think of today, who go with very minute machinery, technology, excavation tools in to kind of really carefully even remove a small piece of pottery or a tiny broken shard of a teapot or whatever it is. These were much more rough excavations. And I have a couple pictures I want to show in that regard too, to kind of give a sense of like what was this like, right? And you can kind of see here yeah, they're just digging a hole and the walls are there, but you don't see any kind of trays, or there's probably some booklets in which they record some of their work, but it's just like, let's remove the dirt to expose the walls, and if we see something interesting, we're going for it, right? And a lot of people involved in these processes that are exposing that. Again, here sort of very much staged 1870s photography is not very good, obviously, in shutter speed in any shape or form. Uh, Postcard from 1902, so this is a little bit more, but again, see these big tools they're using, the like, like just push things aside there, I suppose, with the columns. It's a very rough undertaking. And as we go into the next two videos, that's something we want to think about, because it's a really devastating thing of the way how excavations took place, which totally made sense at the time, but they are destructive. There's a lot of damage done, and the assumption that by rescuing everything, by exposing it, we created a beautiful place for tourists to walk through. And I'm the first one to tell you it was beautiful and amazing to walk through Pompeii. But at the same time, it also raises a lot of conservation and preservation problems that will cost lots and lots of money to kind of engage with. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked this brief look at Pompeii's excavation history. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.